Did you hear? Fortnite Chapter 3 could have been not terrible. Alas, we are living in the worst timeline. So what could have been had Epic decided not to make Unreal Engine Royale? Well, after analysing the leaks and thinking logically about the story, I came up with two possible alternative timelines for Chapter 3. But first, what leaks am I talking about? Basically, a ton of internal files related to Chapter 4 editions like the Jungle Biome actually have tags for different seasons that don't exist. These leaks have revealed that Chapter 3 was meant to be 2 years long, much like the first two chapters, but was cut short for some reason. But why cut Chapter 3 short? Well, it seems like Epic wanted to show off the upgrade to Unreal Engine 5.2 and decided to make an entirely new map to do so. Also, chapter launches bring in a lot of money, and Epic Games, like any company, really likes money. So, why 2 season orders? Well, the 2 potential orders hinge on whether Paradise takes place during Season 4 either way, or whether it was meant to be at the very end of the chapter and got brought forward. My personal theory is that Paradise was meant to be Season 8, but was brought forward to Season 4. That would explain why there was so much cut content, from chrome zombies to the planes being unvaulted. I also think the rather random choice to make the purple reality biome from Vibin turn autumnal in Paradise was a leftover from the Oathbound biome's presence on this map earlier in development. Alright, let's get into the seasons. First up is the Fork timeline, where Paradise is in the end Season 8 slot. The chapter begins as normal, with the island flipping and a snowscape being revealed. Season 1 flipped plays out as usual, leading into the big reality war in Season 2 Resistance. During the collision event, Jones and Foundation jump into the Zero Point to find Geno, which occurs in the Zero War comics. After their confrontation, Geno is defeated and torn apart by the Zero Point, but is able to piece himself back together, which is where the comic series ends. Season 3 Vibin kicks off and everything seems normal, with the islanders partying. Evie of the Peace Syndicate also arrives on the island. This will be important later. But the Zero Point is sending out distress signals, for a dark plot is already underway. The Rift Warden Stellan constructs and activates the Rift Gate, portal between realities, while being haunted by a quote-unquote shapeless man, Geno. The Rift Gate is activated and brings through the massive Oathbound Empire, and at its helm is the Ageless Champion, a reformed Geno. This kicks off Chapter 3 Season 4, Oathbound. A medieval season with weapons like the Excalibur rifle and Shockwave hammer. However, the Oathbound Empire is not the only thing brought through the Rift Gate. A mysterious traveller happens to be visiting the autumnal forests when they were transported to the island, and that traveller was none other than the luxurious vampire Kado Thorn and his time machine. Thorn immediately drains the island's gold bar reserves to fund his luxury estates. He catches the eye of Evie, who brings together a top-tier team to heist the time machine in Chapter 3, Season 5, Last Resort. Fortnite Mares 2022 arrives and Kado is not going down without a fight, transforming into his vampiric form, the Revenant Kado Thorn. Fortnite Mares ends with a solo event, Zero Crisis style, where the player aids the heist team in infiltrating Kado's facilities, take him down in an intense battle, and take the time machine back to Evie. Evie uses the time machine to travel to the distant future, and returns with the massive Mega City and Teal Foothills biome, thus beginning Chapter 3, Season 6, Mega. Evie reveals that she has brought Mega City to the island to try and resolve an inter-syndicate war between the Peace Syndicate, the River Guard, and the Fox Clan. While tensions heat up, ultimately war does not break out, though Evie notes that the Peace Syndicate's files on the last reality were mysteriously corrupted when they came to Reality Zero. Unfortunately, the impact of Mega City landing on the already weakened island causes instability, resulting in the ground breaking up and revealing a massive jungle beneath the surface. The cavern between the two islands had become overgrown with an ancient jungle from another reality due to the 0 Point's unusual activity during vibing. And what's more, Dr. Sloan is revealed to be still alive, previously being crushed by the mech at the end of the collision event. Chapter 3 Season 7 Wilds begins, and Sloan has turned a new leaf. She has turned her back on the imagined order and will not follow the Ageless's orders, instead choosing to investigate the jungle she awoke in. She discovers remnants of an ancient society who warned of a very current threat. Other characters also find the Chalice of Cubetastrophe hidden deep within the jungle, an artifact of the last reality. All signs are pointing towards a new invasion from the force that destroyed the Chapter 2 island, and at the end of the season, it happened. A mysterious substance known as the Chrome seeps through the tears in reality left by the Rift Gate, followed by a malevolent figure known as the Herald. Chapter 3 Season 8 Paradise begins, and the Chrome quickly consumes the island and its peoples, including the Seven, excluding Paradigm, and the Ageless. With the Paradigm escaping through the 0 Point to her own reality, only Jones is left to fix things. Fortnite 2023 begins, and Chrome creatures rise up, attacking and consuming the remaining survivors en masse. Jones ventures into the jungle ruins, where he finds the remains of the bridge, the main facility of the IO. Jones pulls out plans for the Loop Breaker project, the IO's plans to use the Collider to destroy the island in order to win the war back in Season 2. Jones builds a makeshift apparatus that feeds off the energy of the stars, and attunes himself and the Loopers to the island to ensure they'll be protected by the 0 Point's boundless energy. The Fracture Life event begins as the Herald approaches the final band of fighters to complete her chroming of the island. Jones activates the apparatus and it detonates the island, obliterating all mass around the 0 Point, including the chrome. Assuming they were successful, the last reality sends a ship to collect the 0 Point and briefly do, but untethered by the island and not weakened by the chrome, the 0 Point fights back and destroys the ship before flying away. The attuned loopers are safe, but left drifting in space. The Paradigm returns and activates Zero Fusion, bringing together matter from all across the Omniverse to rebuild the island in a similar manner to the end of Chapter 1. Sacrificing herself in the process, Paradigm successfully rebuilds Reality Zero, and the Loopers live to fight another day on the new island, Helios. So, that's one way the story could have gone. I think this might be my favourite potential Chapter 3 storyline. Of course, much of it is up to interpretation and connecting currently unrelated dots, but I tried my best to make it seem as comprehensible as possible with the information that we have. But that's the light path. The dark side is the timeline in which Paradise and Fracture happen as normal during Season 4, and yet Chapter 3 continues on for 4 more seasons. So, Flipped, Resistance and Vibin play out as normal, but then Paradise comes around. Let's say that Paradise plays out as expected, but Fracture does not destroy the island in full. It plays out much more like the key art, with the chrome itself tearing the map into pieces. Paradigm salvages most of the pieces and brings the map back together, but needs a little more, so draws in part of her reality and the Oathbound biome to rebuild the map, which is now about 50% Artemis and 50% other realities. From there, Rift Warden Stellan builds the Rift Gate for the Ageless, but Evie hacks the gates to bring Mega City. The impact of the city unveils the jungle, which foretells of a traveller, Kado Thorn. So, by following the same season order as Chapter 4, we end up with Last Resort as Chapter 3 Season 8. But then how does the chapter end? Well, perhaps Jones and Sloan team up to heist the time machine, strap it to the rocket from Sanctuary, and then use that to blow up the 0 point, just like the Big Bang. Or perhaps we still travel back in time to the Chapter 1 map and see Chapter 3 Season OG ending in the same way. It's hard to say, and honestly I find this timeline to be a lot more shaky than the Fracture Season 8 timeline. Ultimately, we may never know the full original plan for Fortnite Chapter 3, or the exact reason for cutting it short. In my opinion, while I was never the biggest fan of this chapter, it was ultimately a misstep to end it early in favour of a comparatively less fan favourite map. I always did think that the Fracture announcement kinda came out of nowhere. Maybe it's just me, but Paradise just didn't really feel like a chapter ender. But then again, neither did Last Resort or OG, so who knows what Epic's thinking. I just think it's interesting to see into a potential alternate universe where Chapter 3 lasted for 2 years. A universe where maybe, just maybe, it was actually good. If Chapter 5 is also 1 year long, I swear I'm going to explode.